Okay, so I basically got the questions from the review. You can find this document for the ALEKS review by going to the Blackboard, our course page. Turn the edit mode off. And then you go to assignments, exam 4 material, that's what we're covering. And it is exam 4 review. So you click the PDF and it'll pull it up. So those are the questions and where I have them pulled from. Also, remember that if you go on to ALEKS and you go to student view, I've put, oh, sorry, don't look at people's grades on that. Forgot what I was on. Okay. If you are on ALEKS, you should be able to, you'll have an announcement that exam 4 will start tomorrow. No, it says exam 4 review is due at 8 a.m. tomorrow. That is not true. I mean, it's not worth points. It's just, I have to close that before I give you the exam. So that's why it's closing at 8 a.m. tomorrow. So if you go here, go to assignments, you'll see, oh gosh, I didn't complete a lot of my work. Yeah, exam 4 review. So clicking this, it's not a lockdown browser. You can start and end at any time. It'll tell you any explanations or solutions you have. So it's a really good resource with that. So again, this is open for you on ALEKS until 8 a.m. tomorrow, whenever the exam opens up. And then this ALEKS exam shuts down. And you'll still have the Blackboard one, but this one here will be closed. So any questions? So again, you can go here. There's all 24 questions. It's the same length as the exam. It's just the numbers will be different and the problems are jumbled. So this won't necessarily be your first problem on the exam, but it will be in the exam that you'll see tomorrow. So again, this is on ALEKS until 8 a.m. tomorrow when the exam starts up, and you have any time between 8 a.m. Friday to 8 p.m. Saturday. So you got 24 hours. That's not true. You've got over 24 hours. Math. Who can do it? Okay. Okay, so here I am. If you have any questions, are there any problems you would like to look at? Again, I muted everybody, so you'll have to use the chat. So again, if you want to see what I see and hear what I hear, you'd go onto Blackboard and it's under exam 4 material under assignments, and you can click the PDF and it'll show that for you. But any questions? Does anyone want to see the first one? I don't want to work through the whole thing. It'd be kind of extensive. So again, going on to ALEKS, you can find the explanation for these problems as well. So yeah, I don't know what you would like to look at.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there was one, I'm not sure what number it was. I'm
Mhm.
thinking, or I don't care if you put mine up and check which one, but there was one that I missed, and so I couldn't really understand it, and I did think that I did miss it,
Okay.
which I did in the end when I looked back at it. I think it was maybe number 6, but
Okay.
if you could go over that one.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here. I paused the screen, so you shouldn't be able
Okay,
to see
okay.
me going in there. Yeah, I didn't mean
Okay,
to show people's grades when I did that. Again, it's not worth it's not worth points. So
okay.
going on to the ALEKS review, it doesn't hurt your grade. Yeah, it was number 6. Okay, so we're gonna look at number 6 here. Let me go back to the screen. Okay, so it was talking about the discriminant, right? So um, the discriminant has a formula that you'll use, but really what you need to know is the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is given by this. Again, I would have that handy if you need to look it up during the exam or to have it. It's really important. You'll definitely use it on the test. Okay, so here we are, right? Quadratic formula. Well, you're gonna, the discriminant is actually in this formula here. The discriminant um, is this right here. So that right there is your discriminant. So it's what's underneath the square root of the quadratic formula. Okay, so let's answer these questions then. The discriminant is again given by this, but first things first, let's label our coefficients with our in our quadratic equation here, right? We got a, b, and c. So you know, we can see what those are. These are really close together, so I'm going to separate it like this. Okay, so to find the discriminant, it's going to be b squared minus 4ac, right? Because what this is going to tell us, if we have a number underneath here, right, if it comes out to just, you know, whatever kind of number, uh, it's okay, let me phrase it like this. If it's 0, notice the plus or minus go away, and then we only have one solution, right? If there's some number underneath here, whether it's negative or positive, you're going to have two solutions because you're going to have a plus or minus to deal with. Okay, so let's see what we have here. So we got b squared minus 4ac. So plugging in our values, b is 9. So 9 squared minus 4 stays the same. A is negative 4. C is also negative 4. Okay, so evaluating this, 9 is 80, or 9 squared is 81. We got negative 4 times negative 4, which is a positive 16 times a negative 4. That is going to be 81. So minus 81. It's going to be minus 64. So 6 times 4 is 64. Okay, now you subtract. What do we get here? 9. I don't really feel like doing mental math tonight. 11, so that would be 7 and 1. Did I do that right? Yeah. Okay, so we get 17. Okay, so that is your answer for I, is you plug it into the formula, and the formula is just what's underneath the square root in the quadratic formula. So again, if you have the quadratic formula, just remember that's where the discriminant is. Okay, and the number of real solutions is 2. We have 2 real solutions. Now, why is that the case? Well, if we plug in 17, notice that the quadratic, okay, yeah, if we plug this into the quadratic formula, I guess we can plug in our values, which, well, let's not even worry about the values at the moment. I just want to show you why there's 2. Right, regardless of what A and B are, which we have A and B, we have plus or minus, right? So we have 2 solutions. It says that x is equal to negative b plus the square root of 17 over 2a, or negative b minus the square root of 17 over 2a. So that there is the solution there. Any questions?
No, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Anybody else? Remember that rationalizing a denominator, you're going to do, I think, 2 problems that are rationalizing. Now, again, on your test, it's not going to be 7 and 8 because the questions are jumbled. But when it says write your answer in complex form, this means in standard form, that means a plus bi. So this means that we need to multiply by the complex conjugate. Right? So if we did that with here, or for this problem, we would have, again, just copying this down, 4 minus 5i, that we would multiply by the complex conjugate, and then the complex conjugate is what's in the denominator, but we're changing that second number to opposite of whatever it is, right? So if it's a negative 5i, it's going to be a positive 5i. So the complex conjugate in this case is 4 plus 5i plus 5i. And then we multiply this, because what this is going to do is get rid of the imaginary number in the denominator, which is what we want. So we could look here, see how the multiplication works out here. So 4 plus 5i. Draw a little line down here. And over here we'll have the other one, negative 5 plus 5i times 4 plus 5i, like so. Okay, distributing the 4 to each one of these, we've got 16 plus 20i. Well, here, let me use different colors. Okay, so this gives us 16 plus 20i. And then notice, because it's the same but opposite, right? We got a negative 5i and a plus 5i. We get a negative 20i, right? By distributing now the negative 5. So negative 20i. Now here, this is going to be a negative 25i squared. Now remember, I squared is negative 1. Again, that's probably important to note that I squared is negative 1. So if I was going to make a list of important things to know, it would be this, like the quadratic formula is pretty big. You know what? Let's do let's do that later. Let's not jumble the problem. Don't let me forget that I'll give you a list of things that I think that you should know for the test, or important formulas to have handy. Okay, this goes to 0, right? That adds to 0, so you get 16 minus 25 I squared. Well, I squared is negative 1, so that's now 16 minus 25 times negative 1. So that's 16 plus 25, which is going to be 141, I think is what that is. Okay, so we get 41. Now over here, doing the same thing, distributing, you get negative 20 minus 25i plus 20i plus 25i squared. Again, just distributing each of these terms. So a negative 20, adding these together gives us a negative 5i plus 25i squared. Again, just simplifying down, this now becomes a minus 25, right? Because it's I squared. Okay. What do we get here? So I'm going to rearrange the terms, and then I'm going to subtract. So negative 45 minus 5i. Okay, so the reason we went through that work was because we want to express it in standard form of a complex number. So this is going to equal negative 45 minus 5i divided by 41. So notice now you can express this as a standard form of a complex number. So negative 45 over 41 minus 5i over 41. Have the I out front like that. And so that is how you do that problem. Again, it's dealing with the conjugate, which leads us to another type of problem, this one. Rationalizing the denominator and then simplifying. Here, let me move up a little bit more if you're copying that down. Okay, so again, rationalizing the denominator, we want to multiply by the conjugate. It's not the complex conjugate, but it is extremely similar to that. Where again, up here, how we multiply by the same thing, but right, the second term, you change the sign on it. You're going to do the same thing here. So square root of 3 minus 2, 3 times square root of 3. What you're going to do is multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate, which is 3 square root 3 plus 2, 3 square root 3 plus 2. So again, the conjugate it plays a huge role in these problems, right? Oh, that's not what I wanted. So then we would multiply those. My highlighter is too small. Perfect. Okay. Um, move down just a little bit. So when we distribute, in the numerator, we're going to have um, we're going to have 27 times square root of 3 plus 18. Again, we're just distributing this to each one. Now in the denominator, let's show a little more work here so we can see what's going on. Again, multiplying by the conjugate is very important. It allows us to get rid of the square root, which is what we want. When it says rationalize, we don't want a radical in the denominator. So that is why we're doing this. Okay, so um, distributing this here, we're going to have 9 times the square root of 3 squared, right? Like that. Then what are we going to have? We're going to have plus 6 times square root 3, right? So we multiply just the coefficient on the front. And then distributing the -2, we get -6 square root 3. So again, there's our plus or minus. That adds to 0, which is what we want. -4. All right. So that goes to 0. This is now 9 times 3, because the square undoes the square root, -4. So 27 minus 4, which is 23. And that right there is your rationalized denominator. Okay, any other questions? Gosh. Okay, any other questions? I've unmuted everybody, I think. No, okay. Well, if there are no more questions, I'll go ahead and end the meeting. And, again, just be working on oh, I did it again. Don't look at her grade. There we go. So go on to ALEKS, and I'm going to close that. Go on to ALEKS and then work through this review. So you have unlimited attempts to do it. You have until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Again, I can't have it open the same time as the exam, or I would. But again, you can go in here, you can click question 15. Right? It says, how do you answer this question? But if you're stuck, remember you can go to explanation. Doesn't really matter. The attempts don't matter because it's not worth a grade. Yeah, and then it just tells you kind of step by step how to work it, right? It gives you the property that we use and so on and so forth. So I would suggest doing that. Yes, yeah, it's optional. The one thing, Rochelle, that I want to show you, I'm not sure if you were here, is if you go to the ALEKS, and this is for everybody too. The review is going to close tomorrow morning, so you're not going to be able to work on it tomorrow. But I do have a PDF version of it. So if you click that, oh, I already had it open. You have a PDF version that you can download and look at. It doesn't have the explanations, but it does have the answers. So if you needed to work backwards, you can. So that is there for you. It will be there the whole time. So, but again, questions will be different and numbers will be different, but it's there. So, okay. Any more questions? Why? Okay. All right. Well, if there are no more questions, I'm going to end the meeting. And everybody, just study and look at that review. Um, yeah, and or I should say, if you don't have any questions, go ahead and leave the meeting now. That way I know that you guys are good to go. Um, and yeah, just start working on that review. I think it should be pretty helpful. It's pretty close to the exam, just different questions and whatnot. So again, if you don't have any more questions, we can end the meeting here.
Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Hey, oh, you can't see my screen, can you?
You might be able to share it here. Hold on, let me make sure that
Sorry, I'm still trying to
you're good.
figure this out.
Okay, well, hold on. You can start when someone else's. Okay, yeah, go ahead and try sharing your screen. It should work. Oh, let me before you do that. Wait, have you shared your screen?